Today we're going to learn about scatterplot. We're going to create and interpret scatterplots. This is Chapter 9, Section 7. A scatterplot is a graph with points plotted to show a relationship between two sets of data. The correlation describes the relationship between two sets of data. This first graph we're going to label 1. I'm going to use a marker just so you can see my points. All I'm going to do is I'm going to make some points kind of close together, kind of close to a line going up. If I were to draw a line down the center, my point should be fairly close to that line. For graph number 2, we'll label it 2. I'm just going to make some points all over the graph. I'll explain what this means in a second. For graph number 3, I'll label it 3. I'm going to make some more points close together, but that are decreasing. If I draw a line down the center, those points should be close to that line. For graph number 4, I'll label it 4. I'm going to make some more points a little bit farther apart, but still increasing. And again, if I draw a line, those points should be pretty close together. Graph number 5, I'm going to make some points kind of far apart that are decreasing. Again, if I draw a line, those points should be sort of close together. Now to explain what those graphs are, I have this for you. Graph 1 has a strong, positive correlation. For example, the longer the flight, the more miles it flies. Both sets of data will be increasing. The longer the flight is increasing, the more miles it flies is also increasing. Graph 2 has no correlation. For example, the numbers of hours on a flight, the more passengers. The numbers of hours on a flight will not mean that there'll be more or less passengers. There is no correlation. Graph 3 has a strong, negative correlation. For example, the longer the flight, the less gas is left over. The longer the flight increases as the gas decreases. Graph 4 has a weak positive correlation. Graph 5 has a weak negative correlation. What this means, if we take a look at graph 1 and graph 4, graph 1, the points on the graph are really close to this line. This line is called the line of best fit. If you look at graph 4, these points are fairly far away from it. They're not as close together. That means it's a weak correlation. Weak positive because it's increasing. Strong positive because it's increasing. If we look at graph 3, the line of best fit is decreasing as the points are decreasing, and they're close together, meaning that's strong. Graph 5, the line is of best fit. The points are far away from each other. Yes? Okay, on to the back. The hours studied, what we're going to do is make a scatter plot with the data below. We're going to describe each of the graphs as either a negative, a positive, or no correlation. This first graph, let me kind of zoom in for you. Okay. This first graph shows the numbers of hours studied and the exam grade. So what we're going to do with this down here is we're going to plot our points. For the y-axis, I'm going to label exam grade. For the x-axis, I'm going to label it number of hours studied. Can't see that. There. Now let's label it. For the y, I have it increasing by 10, and I start at 60. Let's connect that, make that a little bit longer, up to 100. For the numbers of hours studied, I have it increasing by 2. From 2 to 14. A little blurry. There we go. Now, let's just plot our points. I'm going to use a marker again so you can see my points. The numbers of hours studied. This person studied 5 hours and got an 80 on their exams. Let's label that. It's 5. I'm going to go up to 80. Make a point. Perfect. Next, this person studied 9 hours and received a 95. So let's go to 9. Here it is. Up. 95. Perfect. 3. 12 to 98. Pretty close to 100. And 1. 70. If we drew a line down the center of these points, our line of best fit, we can see that this is a positive correlation. I spelled that now. Meaning, the more hours you study, the better your exam grade. Both are increasing. Let's take a look at this bottom one. This graph shows us, this table shows us the TV hours and the outside hours, meaning this is how long you watch TV versus how long you were outside. So let's graph. My y-axis is going to be my outside hours. And my x is going to be my TV hours. Not Texas hours, TV hours, sorry. My outside hours, I went up by half. So here's a half. Here's 1. All the way up to 4. My TV hours, I also went up by a half. All the way up to 4. Now let's just plot our points. I'm gonna use a marker again. Oops, sorry. So, TV hours. This person watched 2 hours of TV and spent outside of an hour and a half. Point. Next, 0.5 hours, and they were outside for 3.5 hours. 1.5, and they were outside for 1.5. They watched TV for 1, and went outside for 2.5 hours. 1.5, up at 2, and 2.5. If I were to draw a line down the center, our line of best fit, we would see that this is a negative correlation. This is a strong negative correlation because the points are close to that line of best fit. What I want you to do, I want you to bring to class this third graph it, make your labels, make your points. I also want you to provide an example of a positive correlation, just numbers, as I did on the front with your examples. Provide an example of a negative correlation. Also provide an example of something that has no correlation. Bring this to class on Monday and you should be good to go. Thanks, guys.